So this is my final reflection for taking my diver certificate. It's been a little while since I did it. I was in an island called Colipe, and I decided to upgrade it, or not upgrade. I decided to advance my knowledge in scuba diving and update my open water certificate where I can only dive to 18 meters. I cannot go diving and other things as well. To an advanced one, and hopefully in the future I can progress and perhaps get a diver or dive master is the next step, and maybe in the future I could I could work as a diver's instructor. Anyway, in terms of the learning outcomes, throughout this experience, I've challenged my current diving skill, and as a result, I've developed new skills in the process. For example, prior to this, my buoyancy control was quite poor, and I often went up and down a lot in the water. However, during this experience, I learned how to better control my buoyancy, and I took the buoyancy dive. There's a buoyancy dive in the scuba advanced water diving, where you practice just buoyancy, as one of four specialized dives. Anyway, it's important to control your buoyancy because you want to be able to swim underneath small caves or rocks or over rocks, for example. Or because if you want to swim over a rock, you can inflate your lungs. You can use them as a buoyancy control device, and you inflate your lungs and you float up, and you can swim over a rock or anything. And also, if you want to go wreck diving, it's really important controlling your buoyancy. And anyway, I might be able to extrapolate this knowledge that I learned into my physics class as well, because there's a lot of calculation and it has a lot to do with pressure and stuff. So throughout the process of getting my Padi certification, it was very challenging for me, because I felt like I could not breathe big enough breaths during the water. So sometimes I felt very claustrophobic underneath the water. And also, one big thing is that it's pretty hard levitating horizontally and getting the right amount of weight, because in diving you have weights around your stomach, and you have to kind of balance your weights correctly so that you can levitate horizontally, so that you can actually look at stuff and so that your fins don't damage corals. And also, for example, in December when we went to Kotawi, we did a lot of reef diving, shallow water diving, and especially then it's important that you control your buoyancy. And I had because I had big troubles of this in the beginning of the course, but throughout the course I got better and I adjusted my weights. And I'm very happy that I had this experience, and I hope in the future that I can continue developing my skills and becoming a more knowledgeable diver. And also during the lecture parts, in terms of collaborative skills, during the lecture parts of this trip, we learned about the science, and when we enter certain depths underwater, because you have to calculate your maximum bottom time and other things as well. So we also, not only that part that you calculate your maximum bottom time using a graph, but you also have to learn how to communicate underwater. This relates obviously to collaborative skills, since we had to learn to collaborate using a different medium, which is sign language. For example, this means half tank, and then you always have to check with your buddy, and when you jump in you have to say that you're okay. And there are different symbols for different fish. For example, this means a blue spotted stingray, well this means a shark, etc, etc. There are lots of those. It's of course very useful to use. It's of course really useful to use hand signals, and especially when we're doing skills underwater because my instructor August would try to communicate to us underwater to do certain things, and without training, without training. So we got earlier to this dive, we would not have been able to understand what he was trying to say. So what I'm what I'm saying is that you have to be able to understand the sign language to be able to collaborate underwater in order to complete certain tasks. So an example of this would be when we learn how to fin pivot. The fin pivot is when you use use our lungs in order to control buoyancy when fins are while our fins are in contact with the ground. So August was able to communicate, to tell us to do these because like these skills, because we had learned how to effectively communicate underwater before the dive. We also practiced navigation. However, instead of doing it underwater, we did it on land first. This helped us communicate the objectives, which helped us in later dives, because there are a lot of factors you have to take into consideration when you dive. For example, current is one of them. Location, it's easy getting lost because underwater differs from land, because underwater you can't see that far. Maybe you can see 20-30 meters on the best day. So it's easy losing your friend. There are different types of dives. There's dives where you jump in the water and then the boat picks you up further away and the current carries you. And in some dives you have to use your navigational skills, and you have a compass and you go 360 or 0 degrees this way, and then you turn 90 degrees, and then you turn an additional 90 degrees, you turn 180, and then you turn 270, and then you're back where you started. So it's really important being collaborating with others, and Padi has this system, which is a buddy system, where you always have to communicate with others, where you have to do buddy checks before you jump in the water, because essentially what diving is about is that you always have to be safe underwater. That's anybody can dive, however not everyone can dive safely. That's the main part. And yeah, so Padi has developed this buddy system where you have to dive with someone else, and you always have to respect the other's needs. So if you get lost underwater, you have to go up, and if the other person is having trouble with their ears, you have to go up. You have to work as a team, and I think I really like that about the Padi diving system. And I think all in all, it was a great experience, and I'm hoping that I can continue to be a part of the divers community, and maybe in the future I will do something related to diving. I think that was all. Thank you for me. Have a nice day, or evening, or morning. Goodbye.